Let's draw something cozy in Procreate. Today we're making a heart-shaped collection of fall foliage that anyone can do. I'll take you step by step through building up the leaves and berries and autumn details so you can practice shapes, blending modes, and composition on your iPad. We'll be working on a 2000 by 2500 pixel canvas, and I've left a link to the color palette down in the description so you can follow along with the exact same colors I'm using. And if you're ready, let's draw together. Let's start off by grabbing the sketching brush that we'll use today. It's going to be this one here, found in the Character Design Academy. It's part of the Illustrator starter kit, and if you don't already have it, go to the goodie bag at prettylittlelines.com to get it for free. And in there you'll find this sketching pencil along with all of the brushes we'll be using today. Okay, so let's start by drawing a heart. So what I'm going to do is just sort of draw a heart shape. Now, I can go ahead and do it like that, or I can just duplicate this, which would be so much easier. So I'm just going to duplicate that and then go to Uniform, tap on Flip Horizontal, and just drag that over. Now, it'd be easier if you had snapping and magnetics on, then you can just drag it over like that. Now you can see my heart didn't quite match up, so we can go ahead and just put it so that it does and see if that works. So I'm just going to merge those two together by pinching them. And then just with the eraser, just go and erase it. Now, that's not too bad. I might want more of a dip, so I'm just gonna go to liquify, go to your magic wand and liquify. I'm going to be in push. The size, I'm just guessing, maybe 70. So I'm just gonna drag this down, maybe a little less, maybe to 50 something rather. And just have that, just so it's a little bit more arched. Again, this is just our shape so that we can kind of contain all of our leaves within it. So that's pretty good. That will be good enough for what we need today. Then you can just take your arrow and size it up, making sure it's on uniform. And that's probably about good. Okay, I'm just gonna turn my snapping and magnetics off now, just in case. Okay. So now I'm just going to turn that way down and let's just map out where we want everything to be. So let's just go ahead and sort of get our basic shapes in. So I'm going to want something, I'm going to just make sure that I have something kind of large here, kind of a statement there. I'm going to have a particular leaf here for sure, maybe kind of over there. I'm just sort of mapping it where my maple leaves are going to be because they're probably the most prominent. I'm going to have something here. And then a curve here, sort of there. This is fun. Looks kind of crazy. I'm just kind of trying to figure out, I think these are going to be important, having leaves that really curve here and here. So we really establish that shape. And then, we'll have ones along the side. Okay, so that's kind of what I was thinking of, just sort of the main bits. So let's just go and create a new layer on top, and I will start to sketch one of the main leaves here. So let's just kind of have a line here. Now all of the actual segments of the leaves are all going to come into the center here. So maybe make a point. So you have this, and then you'll have a leaf coming out here, maybe one a little bit further away so you have a bit of a gap. One here, here, and then you have these two little guys down here. So that's kind of how that works. So then just sort of draw your shape like this. And this guy is here, maybe not quite so far out. That. I want this one to have a gap. It'll make it kind of more interesting. Then this, and then these two little ones down here, kind of like that. We will put other details on that. It'll be, kind of that variegated edge kind of thing, but for now, this is good enough just for our placeholder. So I can get the size of things too. That's really important. Okay, so then let's go over to here. This is going to be more of a maple leaf, or a traditional looking one. So just draw the main stem part. So I'm gonna kind of have again, this actually does come all to the center as well, or to one point rather. So kind of these parts here, and then there's kind of these bits here, and a little bit like that. So this is more, a little bit more connected. And then these bits here. There. Okay. Basic shape. Perfect. I'm actually going to take this one, so I'm going to take my selection tool and just circle that with freehand and take my arrow and not do that. I'm going to take my selection, select it, and actually I'm going to do copy and paste. So then I have another one of these. So I'm just going to use my arrow, turn it around, and I'm going to make that the tip of the heart shape. Then I'm going to go to my magic wand to liquefy and just kind of, change it a little bit so it's not identical. Just sort of the layout of that. Maybe make it a little bit more straight up and down. Okay, and then we can just tap on the magic wand to deselect. Okay, and we can just merge those together just to simplify things. Okay, so those are some of our major leaves. We're going to have another one here. And how are we going to do this one? Kind of has like a shape like this, and it just sort of has a shape, and a shape, and a shape, and a wiggle, kind of like that. So the veins are kind of like this. Just trying to simplify it a little bit. So it's one like that, one like that, one like that, and just wiggle. Something like that shape. Just gets smaller as it goes down. I may have to change the size of these, but we'll just kind of keep them like this for now and then adjust as we go. Okay, so just do a line that really emphasizes the curve of that heart, and then have a leaf that goes out. I want all of these to touch that edge. So just have them like this. So that really establishes that curve. It looks nice. And then you can have these coming like this. Okay. Same with this one. And let's make it different. I don't want it to be exactly the same. I will have that leaf like that. I will have a leaf like this. And maybe this will be, have a berry, and have a berry, and another one like that. Maybe that's two identical. Something like that. So that really, make sure that we have that in there. I'm actually going to move this guy, and yeah, just so that this top edge, so these two will connect there. That probably looks a little bit better. Okay, so now maybe we'll sort of establish this arch here. So let's have, or like the dip, let's have a leaf just all by itself here. And then let's go and have, let's see, I want all these leaves to come here. So this one will touch like that line I made. And then just making sure these leaves mimic that curving down. Just there. And then this side doesn't matter as much exactly where you place them, but just filling in. Okay. Great. So now we really have that. If we take this off, you can see that we're starting to have that shape come in. Okay, so what about this edge too? I think I'm already going to resize this guy here. So let's just select him with your arrow. Just just size down. You put them in right there. Okay, so here I want to really make sure that this line is good and solid. So let's just have this one, actually bring them a little bit closer just because I have that. These are the smaller leaves. Just having these go along this edge. Something like that. And then you can easily have just, you know, some classic single leaves here. Maybe this one will be just kind of fitting them in the little spots here. Maybe that one will have, you know, some detail on it or something like that. Okay. And yeah, I'll add a little details in a minute. Okay, so this one I'm going to have a leaf literally come right here. Just making sure that it does that. So that supports that one. Then we're going to do another one here. And then I'm going to have something that goes like this. And these will be these funny little berry things. They have like these little bits at the top, kind of like that. And that will come along this edge here. And then you can put more little bits and pieces on it. Okay, so that's looking good. Why don't we go and just take this, make it a touch smaller, and then I can put a little acorn in here. So I'm just going to draw just a little rounded shape, give him a little hat, and a little point at the bottom, of course, and his little stem. And that's kind of nice there. We'll need another one of those, so I'm going to put him around here. Actually, I can just go and just select this one, do the same thing, copy and paste, take that and just put this, I can even flip it, just flip it horizontally and then just place that. And actually, you know what, I do want it curving this way though. It just makes more sense. So pop that in there, and then I can just merge these together. So I can draw that a little bit differently when I do it for real, or do my good copy. Okay, we need another curve in here, so we had that going here. All right, so we'll just do a little variation in our shape of leaf, maybe a little bit more rounded. And I can erase that a bit. Maybe that one doesn't need to be so long here. Something like that would be good. Just filling in. Okay, just gonna move this a little bit. It's just like making a puzzle, really. Okay, so I kind of like that. And then this will come back this way, this sort of S shape that we're having. And then we'll just do this and kind of some of these berry type things again. There's a little oval with a funny little bit on top. Okay. And that curves in like that, and that curves in like that. Okay, I kind of like that. All right, let's see. I kind of think that I'm just gonna adjust this a little bit. These could be a little bit more emphasized here. Something like that would be better, a little bit bigger. Maybe I made that a little bit too aggressive, coming too close to that, but filling in that spot there, that's better. All right, let's fill in this little gap. So maybe a curve, something coming this way. I'm liking these funny berries with the little bits on the top. Very fall-like. I wonder what they're called. I'm sure they have a name. Okay. Okay, let's go and maybe fill in some of these gaps. We can have things that are going upside down too. Maybe just a simple leaf here. Like that in there. Let's see. Maybe some more berries here, kind of like what we have there. Okay. Maybe just a single leaf. Or maybe not. Maybe something that fills that in a little bit differently. Okay, that's better. And let's see. Just fill in the gaps. All right, I think that's pretty full. Anywhere that you might need something, just put in another little single leaf. And we can also just go, actually I'm going to turn off all of these other guides here. You can see we have achieved the heart shape, so that's great. Now for our last touch, you're just going to go and just add random circles. We don't have to draw them in all right now, but I'll just give you the idea. Anywhere that just would make some sense to have a few. Really just helps it tie it all together. Something like that. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And even in between here, might kind of fill that in as well. Perfect. Okay. It's kind of funny making these. It's such a puzzle to bring together, but it's kind of cool when it all shows up like this. Okay. I hope you're having fun enjoying this tutorial so far. If you'd like to take your drawing and painting skills in Procreate to the next level and do it in a way that feels relaxing and joyful, then check out my courses over at prettylittlelines.com. You'll find lots of different styles, step-by-step lessons, and in-depth teaching that I'm sure will spark your creativity and inspire you. There's something for everyone, especially beginners, and I think you'll really enjoy what's waiting there. I'll leave a link for you in the description below so you can check it out. But for now, let's jump back into the lesson and keep creating together. Now that we have our rough sketch, we are ready to illustrate, so let's get to that. So I'm just going to go ahead and I can delete my sketches and whatnot from before. Just tap on the N and turn the opacity down, and we are going to draw on top and make this look nice. I'm still just going to use my sketching pencil. That's totally fine. So let's just go in. This is probably the most complex leaf we have to work with here. So I'm just going to draw the veins first and just have a little bit of thickness to that there at the bottom, just your stem. Okay, and so you want the lines to be like this, and then you're just going to go and make jaggedy shapes and to a point. A little scallop. And then you're going to have a few veins. Now, what I like to do is have lighter pressure and then darker once you get to the center. And that always looks nice. And then they'll come together. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of it here. So just have that, scallop, scallop, scallop. This one's gonna go kind of behind, oops, going a little bit aggressive there. So I'll bring that line to the center and then have a few here. Okay. And this one, I have a nice gap. It's for something different. You can have your center line if you want. Do that first. I'm just going to erase this a little bit so I can have this a little bit more curved. Lovely. And then your lines. Okay, this one, have it like that. And the last little one here. Don't need to put quite as much detail, but just a little bit. Actually, I think it's easier to draw this way. Okay, so that's probably the most, involved leaf that has the most little bits and pieces to it. So get that out of the way first. So I think I'm going to draw them all and then see which ones need a bit more detail just to balance out the detail, how much line work we do on each leaf, like, this kind of like veining and all that kind of stuff. So let's just kind of leave that out first and then just see what is needed. These should probably have the little bits on them like that. You can have some of them, that you see the back side of them. So that's fine too, just like they're looking the other way. Okay. So this one, I might put, a little bit more detail in this guy. So let's just establish this bit here. And I'm gonna just go and have a few more wiggles and bits here. Maybe just, this bit here. Let's just go like that. Just trying to make it interesting. And this part is a little bit more subtle. And then you'll have, this definitely will have veins on it, so we will put those in. And then you can put some more, like this kind of more branchy type ones. Okay. Okay, let's do our little acorn here. this one I will put a little cross hatching on it because I do know I want that. There we go. Okay, these little funny guys. Actually, let's make, well, no. I'll leave it as the berry thingy. You could have it as a leaf there too. All right, this kind of maple leaf, I will just make that center vein like that. And we do have a little bit more detail on here because it has a bit more like this. So each one will have that kind of three-pronged approach or whatever you want to call it. Something like that. Oops, got carried away on that one. Let's just erase that, make it more of a scoop there. Okay. And this actually should all come back in the same spot. So maybe I will adjust that. Didn't quite do that very well. Let's just have that come there because these need to all join in the same spot at the bottom here. So like this is coming in there and this is coming in there. This is an offshoot of that. That kind of a thing. And then you can have more of the little veins here. Little branchy ones. Okay, something like that. Perfect. Okay, that looks good. And then don't forget with the berries, for these particular berries, we'll have the little dots. Sometimes I'll make it so they're looking the other way. Okay. Don't make it too thick. To look balanced with everything else. Oh yeah, these are supposed to be more rounded. I'll try that. Just nice to have a, variation in shapes. All right, we are moving along. Okay, let's see. Maybe make that go up a little bit more. Maybe have this one change shape just to accommodate that guy there. All right. Okay, another maple leaf. So let's do the same thing. Just have this kind of go like this. Actually, maybe it's more pointy. These are more curved. Okay. And then all stemming from here. All right, we're nearly there. Well, for this part anyway. Okay, get that one. There we go. All right, and let's just do our acorn here. It's not the best one. Here we go. We'll do a little hatch. Okay. And I think this is our last one. My goodness. Okay. Oh my goodness, look at that. Beautiful. Now we should probably do our circles as well. So let's just do that. They can all vary in size too. So don't be afraid to switch it up a little bit. That's kind of a nice way to establish that line too. I think that's good. I don't know, I'm doing so many of these, but I think they look nice. Okay. Now I'm going to turn off my sketch, my guide behind. Oh, it's looking so pretty. Okay, I was gonna put some details on some of the leaves, so I'm just kind of seeing what would be good. I think maybe this one, so I can just do that. Just put some veins here. Where else would be good? I'm thinking this one. I'm gonna turn around the other way. I can't do it upside down. Where else? Maybe this guy. Never mind, I have to do it this way. Okay, where else? That's sort of working here. Maybe this one. What I'm looking for is a balance of weight. So to see where things need to be more weighted and where I can have a little bit more of a rest. Maybe I'll just do it on one side on these just to be different. And so then that side needs to be done as well. So let's do that. And I'll do it on both just to keep it different, but I'll just have 3 so it's not quite as liney. Or 2 or 3 depending on the leaf. Okay, let's see. So that's balanced, that's balanced. That's probably, I'm just debating about this guy here. But maybe if I did that leaf, then that would solve that. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think that's probably enough. So it looks balanced in weight. So I think that's good. So now we're ready to color. So let's just open up our layers and create a new layer. Just tap on the layer below. So this new layer is below our lovely line work here. And we can go and select some colors. We're going to be using the autumn palette. So I'm going to just grab this peach color here and then go to your brushes and scroll all the way down to the bottom to find the monoline brush. I'll just use this to fill in our lovely little leaves here. So my brush is at about 30, so just adjust it for what you need. You can color in, or we can drop our color in as well if you wish. I'm just gonna go around and find a few ones, kind of evenly putting the color at this particular color around. Just kind of seeing what kind of works to make this balanced. I like this color, so maybe I'll do this leaf here. So I can either just outline it like this, and then we can just do a color drop. And then just drop that in there. Make sure your threshold is nice and high. Okay, so that looks good. So let's move on to another color. We can just keep it all on this layer. Let's use maybe this pinky color. Maybe these berries can be this pink. That'll work. Okay, so since I have them on this side, I'm going to have to balance over here as well. So maybe these can be this color, and then it will look a little bit more even. Perfect. Okay, let's move on to maybe this color. Let's see. Yeah, all right, so let's do this leaf here. Okay, and let's see. These berries here. So try to make a triangle. Maybe these, just sort of where I've placed them, it's at least 3. I wanted this color to be repeated at least 3 times. It will help us balance it out. See, like that. All right, so maybe we can use it again up here. This one. All right, then let's go and let's see, what about this color? Yeah, that'll look nice. Okay, so maybe this leaf here, because that will look good. Weighting of the colors over here. And then maybe down here. Good stuff. Then let's pick, let's see, did we do this one yet? A little bit more yellow. Let's have it on this. Okay, and this one. And then one over here, maybe these. I think we can do it over here as well. Maybe just this small one here. Okay, then let's see. What about, I wonder if we bring in a purple. Actually, maybe this color. It's kind of interesting. Have we done that one? It looks almost the same as that. No, it's a bit different. All right, let's try this. It's a little bit more on the redder side. All right, so let's see, maybe this one up here. Okay, and so here, it makes sense. And let's see, how about this one? And I think over here. Okay, so we're running out of leaves here, so we just have these guys. So we might have to pick some other colors that we've already used before. Let's just do our little acorns. So I'm gonna get the brown, but I think this is going to be far too dark because it's what we use for our line work. So with that brown selected, just bring your color up and to the left. Create a lighter color. That looks nice. Okay, so I might use that for the top part. And do the same over here. And then bring this up. That's up all the way up. Sure, that'll be fine. Okay, and then let's see. What am I going to color this one? Feels like the odd man out. Let's see, maybe, what is not around him? This one, this color here. So what we can do is just hold your finger down and it'll select that color, so we don't have to go and guess which color it was. And we can just put that there and see if that is the right choice. Yeah, I think that works. Now this one, what do we not have around it? Feels like everything is nearly around. Maybe this one. And this guy. What about, I guess that's on the berries too. Well, it might just have to be this one. That's okay. That'll look good. Okay, so we have all that colored, and now we're just going to do the dots. So let's see, I was kind of considering a purple before. I think this is going to be too dark. Let's just lighten this up just a touch. So up and to the left, and see if that's a little bit nicer. Yeah, I think that's good. So just get all of your dots. We did so many. That looks good. Oh, we have to do these little bits too. I forgot about that. All right, I think I got them all. Yay. And then let's just grab this brown here, and we can just color these little bits at the top here. I think that's all of them. All right, and now that we have all of our colors, all mapped out and all filled in, let's play around a little bit. First, let's go to our layers and go to your line layer, tap on the N, change the mode to linear burn. You see how that makes a difference? This is before, after. It just makes that pop. All right, so next let's go to, on this layer, on your painting layer, just create a new layer on top, tap on it, make it a clipping mask, then tap on the N and move it to color burn. Now go and grab this purple color and go and grab the watercolor brush, and you can see what happens. I'm not going to color it all in like that, but you can see it just makes it even more vibrant. So we can just kind of play around and have little pieces of this a little bit brighter. So I'm going to have my brush around 5 or 6, just kind of whatever works for you. So we can just kind of play around. It's just going to change the way the colors kind of work. So you can kind of, paint in and around, make it kind of those electric fall colors. Kind of make them so they have a little bit of shading. I'm just dusting the edges. I think it looks neat when it's kind of doing the center of these ones. I'm just having a really light hand, not pushing too much. All right, so let's have a look. So that's with and without. It just makes it pop that much more. I think that looks really neat. And lastly, let's just put a few little highlights on this. So I'm going to go to my layers. At the very top, I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to tap on the N and change the mode to add. Then you can go and grab one of these pinks, maybe like this one here, and then go and get your sketching pencil from the Character Design Academy. And then what we're going to do is just put a few little highlights. So I'm just going to kind of make a few accents, and the add makes it light, but also makes it kind of have, see how it affects it a little bit differently? It changes depending on what color is below. So we can just kind of have some fun with this. You don't have to do every line, of course, just a few here and there. And maybe little highlights like that. It's going to be quite light. Especially when it's on a lighter color. just kind of find your areas. Now I'm going to put a highlight on here, but this is going to be quite harsh. So if you want to do this instead of changing brushes, you can just kind of give it a highlight. Then with your smudge tool, if it's set to watercolor, let's say, just something soft, you can kind of blend that out a bit. Just make sure your brush is smaller, and that can just soften that. So let's do that again here. I'll just kind of draw a little color in a little circle. Then with the smudger, just go and soften that up. Just like that. Okay, let's just see if we've got everything. I might have missed a couple of things over here. Just so they all just have a little bit. Oh, I forgot this main one here. That's quite silly. All right. Let's just make sure this is done too. All right, let's have a look. I think these berries, we could do the same thing that we did on here. So just maybe give it a little bit of a little circle, a little bit. Okay, and then get the smudger. So let's soften that up. Okay. All right, so let's have a look. So these little details sometimes can make a lot of difference. So you can see how that just pops. And it's a lot more fun just using that add because it just gives you a little bit of a variation instead of just using straight white. So I think that really pops. So you can go and experiment with different background colors, see how that changes the look. It really is kind of fun to see what happens. Maybe not green. Something more neutral is probably nice. But I think I just might, well, that looks cool too. Maybe the blue, that looks neat. I'll just stick with white today, but there we go. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and if you did, I would love it if you could give it a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks again for joining me. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one.